What is your name?
My name is Noel Estes.
And what is the name of the business you started?
It was A1 Auto Service.
How did you get into working with cars?
Well, most of my friends that I went to school with in Votech in high school worked on cars, and that was their line of work. And I guess I just kind of got interested in it because of them.
And how old were you when you started the business?
Oh boy, I think I was in my early 20s. I can't remember the exact date.
Have you always been interested in mechanics?
Yeah, as a young person, I liked to know how things worked, and if it didn't work, you buy something and it quit working, and you kind of had to try to figure out how to fix it if you could.
What made you want to start your own business?
At the time, it seemed like a great thing. It seemed like being your own boss was, a wonderful idea, and that you could make a lot of money working for yourself, and yada yada.
How did you build your customer base?
During the startup, we basically worked for people we knew. We knew a lot of people in the area. That's why we opened there.
What was the most rewarding thing about owning your own business?
Well, it was a lot of work, and it requires a lot of time. But you develop a rapport, with all the people that you work for, and you kind of are a part of the community, I guess. I mean, you do the local ads, and you know people, and you get invited to their weddings and so forth. So I guess belonging to the community would be a big perk.
And what was the most difficult thing about owning your own business?
Well, the most difficult thing would have to be the time. It requires an awful lot of time. You don't really realize that until you have one, but it kind of takes away from time that you can spend doing a hobby or spending with the family or stuff like that, because in order to make it work, you have to kind of cater to people, and people don't always operate on a 9 to 5 type schedule.
What were the things you had to learn to make it profitable?
Well, you obviously had to know how much you were spending so that you could figure how much work that you had to do to come out on top of that. There was formulas that were available, that we learned about at business courses, and there was partnerships that we forged with the parts people that we needed to fix cars, and the tool people that we needed to have the stuff that we fixed the cars with. So, I guess that would be what I would say.
What kind of partnerships do you think were the most beneficial to you?
Probably you have to watch partnerships. Probably the vendor partnerships, where you vendored with parts people that would let you have parts on consignment, and for the tool people that would set you up on a payment program so that you could buy expensive equipment and not have to pay for it all at once. The parts people, they would stock your inventory, and then you only had to pay for stuff that you used at the time that you used it. So basically, you were getting a lot of help through that kind of a partnership.
Earlier you spoke about community. Was choosing the location part of wanting to be a part of that community?
I think it was mainly using a tool that you had. We knew of a building that would fit our needs, and it was in our community, and we knew a lot of people, and we thought that maybe we could, get started there the easiest, which, did happen. There was places where you could have went that would probably have been more profitable in the long run, but it was easier to get started there.
And if you could do it over again, would you do anything differently?
Well, it's hard to, in retrospect, there obviously was things that, you didn't like, and if I could do anything over, it probably would have been after the initial startup and we were making it. I probably would have tried to work hard at getting on a schedule, like a 9 to 5 thing, instead of, working all hours of the day at night, weekends and stuff like that. That I would try to develop more time, more spare time.
So you would say the most difficult thing for you about owning a business was time that you couldn't spend with your family?
Yeah, there was a problem. You felt like if you were trying to have some time with the family, that there was things that you should be doing over there, and when you were over there, you were crossed because you knew that you'd like to be spending time with the family. So it was kind of like a paradox, but to make it work, I mean, you don't realize how much work it is to make it work.
So owning a business is all about having balance, about working in the business and having a family life and a social life on top of that.
It might be different things to different people. To me, it was a great opportunity and it worked out really well, but I feel that I sacrificed certain things, and my family time and my spare time, would probably be on the top of the list.
Your business was overall pretty successful. Do you have any tips or advice for someone who might want to start their own business?
Yeah, I think that if you're going to start your business, you have to have a business that caters to the needs of some people. People need cars, and people break their cars, and people unfortunately wreck their cars. But all that is something that they need to have done. They need to have somebody that will fix their car, that they can trust, and that does what they say they'll do. I don't think you can just have a business that you would like to have a business without the need of the community to support it.
So, in order to have a business, there has to be a large demand for that business to be successful.
Well, yeah, I would say, I don't know, large demand, but there has to be an adequate demand. I mean, you can't just open up a business and expect people to come to it. If the interest isn't there in the community, or the need isn't there in the community. I mean, on the beach you might be able to open a kite shop and do okay, but in most communities you're going to have something that people need, whether it be things that they eat, or work on their cars that they drive, or provide a service that they can't do without.
So you definitely have to keep in mind and look for a location that meets the business that you want to build.
Well, I think so. I mean, you might be able to draw people into your sphere if you're good at what you do, and word of mouth and advertising. But I think that you have to try to stack your deck. I think that you have to try to find a place to work that is adequate for you and for what you want to do.
Okay. Well, thank you for your time and for explaining to everyone what it's like owning a business.
You're welcome.